Good evening, bonsoir. Bienvenue à la séance ordinaire le 18 novembre. Welcome to the regular public meeting on November 18th. Please rise for the national anthem. Also do territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Bathurst as the ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq. Today, these lands are homes to a diverse population of indigenous and other people. We also acknowledge with respect the diverse history and culture of the Mi'kmaq in this region. Nous reconnaissons avec respect l'emplacement de la ville de Bathurst en tant que terre ancestrale du peuple Mi'kmaq. Aujourd'hui, ces terres sont hôtes d'une population diverse, comprenant personnes natives du territoire et autres patries. Nous reconnaissons aussi avec respect l'histoire et les diverses cultures du peuple Mi'kmaq de la région. We will move over to the adoption of the agenda. Ms. Parker?
That the agenda be approved as presented.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Parker, do we have any declaration conflict of interest?
No conflicts of interest are declared.
Perfect. We'll go to the adoption of the minutes. The regular public meeting held on November 4th, 2024. Ms. Parker.
That the minutes of the regular public meeting dated November 4th, 2024 be approved as circulated.
All right. I'll need someone to move. Councillor Honda, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go to public administrative presentation. We have a presentation on homelessness by Miss Ashley Rickard. Ashley, I will give you access to the podium and the mic. You have 10 minutes, 15 with Q&As. All right, go right ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Rickard, and I'd like to thank you for having me here tonight on behalf of our homeless community. I'm here before you as a concerned citizen. Bathurst is in crisis, and people are going to die. We have a huge lack of resources for our homeless, especially food and shelter, which are the basic human needs. The misinformation that is being told by the homeless committee that you, Ms. Chamberlain, you, Mr. LeBlanc, and you, Mr. Willett, are on is where I'd like to begin tonight.
Actually, no, I'm going to stop you right there. When you did your request was to lack of resources and food and shelter.
Yes.
If you are going to start a conversation of trying to say that we are providing miscommunication.
Well, no, but I'm saying that when we are being told that they're receiving food 7 days a week, which they're not, that's what I wanted to address. Okay. Because they're not receiving food. And after the last meeting with Mr. LeBlanc, when he was informed that they were receiving food 7 days a week, I wanted to make sure that that was clear that they are not. So that is what this is about the food.
All right.
Is that all right if I continue?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. How often do you guys eat at your home? Probably 3 times a day. Our homeless can go from Friday noon until Monday noon with no food. That's 72 hours with nothing. If you stop eating and drinking, death can occur in as early as a few days, though most people approximately 10 days. But yet, every week we let our people go without that for 3 days. Plus, the one meal a day that they do receive at the volunteer center is just that, one small meal. A soup, maybe a sandwich, and that's only if they can make it there on time. I wanted to just clear that up. Ms. Chamberlain, you stated at the last meeting that they are stealing, and I can tell you right now that if I was freezing and starving and I didn't know where my next meal would come from, I absolutely would steal as well. Does that make me a bad person? No, it just means that I need my basic needs being met. Now, at the last meeting, you, Ms. Chamberlain, and Mr. LeBlanc both stated that the funding is not a problem. There is money for the homeless, but they are going 3 days without food. That.
So you do, as I had mentioned at the time, so, and I think you met with the acting manager at the youth center last week.
Yes.
There is a team of 6 employees. They know where everybody is. And do not forget, they get a check at the end of each
Yes,
month.
and I will address
If
that.
they don't have any income coming in.
You're absolutely right. Now, if I only do have 10 minutes, would it be okay to get through what I have,
ahead.
and then we can talk about that at the end?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then the other misinformation coming from the committee that the council members are part of was that they truly believe that they can go to the shelter for meals or to shower, which is absolutely not the case. Unless you are one of the 8 members that are at the shelter, you cannot access any of those services. When we say they all get money every month, let's break that down a little bit, please. $700 a month to find affordable housing. That's impossible. Now imagine you had to buy everything prepared because you have no kitchen to make food. $700 does not last long. You can't even buy a bottle of water for less than $4. $700 does not go far. It costs $10 for a drink and a soup at Tim Hortons. Now, if they were only to buy 4 bottles of water a day, that would take all of their money that they get in the month, which is our basic human need. Affordable housing in Bathurst is a joke. NB Housing has a 3 to 5 year waiting list. 700 people are waiting to be placed in affordable housing. 700 people now are facing homelessness. As of last February, the homeless were only given $637 a month, and any rental in Bathurst is over $1,000 plus the deposit. This brings up the bylaw about the tents within city limits. The bylaw officer told me himself that they will remove the homeless and their property. These people have nowhere to go to get out of the elements, so they set up a tent somewhere in the woods. But yet that's really the problem. But yet anyone can go and set up a makeshift tent or an ice shanty on the ice, and there's no problem with that. They can leave them outside all winter and not have the police or the bylaw officer out there telling them they have to leave. How fair is that? Leave the homeless outside in the elements because they can't have a tent within city limits. But wow, nice fish you caught there in the shanty. And then on top of that, they can leave those ice shacks on the ice until it's too late and they fall through the ice and go into our bay. If we were to treat our animals this way, not feeding them or leaving them out in the cold, we would be charged. But how are we, Bathurst, who is known for our hospitality, saying this is not our problem? Send them on a bus back to where they came from. I am not from here originally, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room tonight are not from here originally either. But Bathurst is still our home. The tent bylaw needs to be revoked. Speaking of another bylaw that needs to be revoked, I would also like to bring to the attention of everybody how unfair it is that we make a law that where these people that have nowhere to go are not allowed in our city parks after 11 p.m. at night until 1 hour before sunrise. That's the bylaw 2004 section -13. That also needs to be revoked because they're just because they're homeless doesn't mean they're a criminal. I'd like to touch base on the fact that you speak about our homeless as couch surfers and rough living. What does that mean when we say that they're rough living? Well, as a statistic, Mr. Alain Savoie states from social development that they aren't really homeless, that they're rough living. Now, yes, some of our homeless are staying inside of a home, but that home has no power, no heat, no lights, no running water. This is not being housed. This is just out of the elements. The ones who have a roof over their head, it's because they are living in Mr. Trash's garbage bins, like the man who was removed from the bin at Cité de la Métier School 4 weeks ago. Or how about the young man who's been living in the trash compactor at the mall until he was found out? But now he's back out in the elements because, God forbid, he set up a tent in our city. Bathurst is in an emergency crisis. Last year, the year before, and now again, I have asked why we cannot use the gym pavilion at the City Hall to temporarily let the homeless come in to get out of the elements. Yet I'm always told we can't. This year, I was told we cannot tell that our residents that they cannot come and play pickleball in the evening. Life is worthless compared to pickleball. But this May, when the tragic fire that burned down our Eddie's building, immediately City Hall opened the doors and allowed all of those people and their pets to come into the City Hall. All those people because their homes may have been in danger. But anybody who doesn't have a home, we're going to leave them outside to freeze. What about the youth center? What truly is that building? Because it's not for the youth. Why can't they open up a drop-in center? Like, who actually owns that building? Why can that huge center not open as a drop-in center, somewhere to go in, warm up, and receive services? You, Ms. Chamberlain, and Mr. LeBlanc both stated that funding is not an issue. We need a needle disposal to set up around town. If funding is available, let's start spending some of it. What are we saving it for? Bus passes out of Bathurst? We need a safe injection location, something that can be in place at the Needle Exchange if they had some of that funding that we keep saying we have. We can't keep playing let's pass around the people game. We need to help these who we already have, whether they are from here or not. We cannot do it with the fear that more will come. After sitting here at the last council meeting, replaying the live video stream over and over and over, the part that hurts me the most is Mr. LeBlanc's statement. Again, we have to be careful because every time we increase our capacity, word gets around, and it's kind of what happened to Moncton. Look at what they have to live through. Mr. LeBlanc, please look at what our homeless go through. Days without eating, having to accept any food that is given to them, whether they like it or not, because they're starving. Weeks, maybe months without showering or having a change of clothes. Being immediately judged because of how they look. Treated worse than how we treat our pets. So please look at what they are living through. They are someone's daughter and someone's son, and they deserve to have basic human rights. So as you go home tonight in your warm car to your warm home with much more than $700 to survive on, we need to stop saying it's not our problem. This is our city. They are here. They are all of our problem. If the city doesn't want the eyesore of them hanging around, we need more places for them to go. A lot of them are not capable of basic life skills. They face mental health issues, wait times to be seen a psychiatric doctor. Some of them mentally children, like children or dementia patients. But yet, we wouldn't leave them out in the streets to die. Why do we think it's okay for our homeless? As far as the warming center opening up on December 1st, that's amazing. 10 of our 117 people won't have to worry about dying. How are they supposed to get to the Pentecostal church on Basin Street, way up King Avenue in our winters? It's exactly 2 kilometers. They will burn every ounce of energy they have to get to the church to find out it's full with 10 people and told, sorry, please come back again tomorrow. This is not enough. We need to do better. All of you council members get to eat every day and be warm and don't have to worry about homelessness. But yet, 59% of us here on this side of the room are 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless ourselves. And not because we're addicts. Homelessness is all of our problems. We need to do more. We need to be the change we wish to see in this world. I'd like to challenge all of the members and council members and everyone in this room to go home and not have anything to eat from now until Friday. And we'll see if you guys still think it's okay to leave them outside and not let them have food for so many hours, with the mentality that if we help them, more will come. This is an absurd reason to refuse help to someone who desperately needs it. What are we going to do? What we are doing to our homeless is inhumane. And if we don't help them, their deaths will be on your shoulders because, as you stated, funding is not a problem. Just the homeless are not our problem. There are some who don't want the help, but the ones who want to succeed have no resources to better themselves, nowhere they can turn, saying that this is not their problem. Well, it is the city's problem. We live in Bathurst. So it is all of our problems. And this is where I was going to ask Jessica from the AIDS New Brunswick, who also filled out the form. But I brought Jessica, the harm reduction coordinator from AIDS New Brunswick, to talk about harm reduction and the stigma towards the homeless population. Unfortunately, we were only informed right before this meeting that she cannot speak, even though she filled out the request. I encourage all of you to come and speak to her in the hallway after this meeting about harm reduction and the stigma. Not every homeless person is an addict, and not every addict is homeless. This type of thinking is judgmental, stigmatizing, and increasing the harms you are supposed to protect the community from. So as a concerned citizen, I thank you for my time, your time, and that's all I have to say.
So what I can tell you is funding comes from provincial and federal government. This is not city issue. Cities across the province, across Canada, are not funded and do not run these programs. That being said, we did not have a warming shelter last winter. Just before Christmas, we created a committee because of that, exactly that. And we were able to manage to have a warming shelter by January 8th. It was full every night because of the cold. And sometimes it was cold enough in the morning that they stayed open because we didn't want anybody in the cold. And to think that for me, I pushed to have that committee put in place. The new warming center that's going to be opening up, again, not led by the city. This is led by the youth center, where they have 6 employees working there. They know where everybody is. They know what address, where they're sleeping. Some of them need appointments. They're picked up for appointments. There are employees out there that are working with them. We know that the volunteer center gives them bags of food, not just necessarily meals. So we put the committee together. You have people from mental health, social development, government, youth center, council, for us to work on this file. We know that it's not going anywhere, but we also know that it's increasing. And the warming center that's going to be open might have 10 to 15 beds. But last week, 6 beds was available at the shelter, and they were not used. Why? Because when you go in, you cannot go in with anything you have on you that might be a danger to the workers and to the other people living in the shelter. So I understand where you're coming from. My heart goes out to them, absolutely. That's why we put the committee in place. That's why we're trying to figure out how we can fix it. But even if we put 30 beds, and the couch surfing, what it means is these are people that are either on disability, cannot work, and they are living with family and friends because they can't afford housing. We understand that affordable housing is an issue. We have a shortage of 165 units per year for the next 3 years right now. And most of those will have to be affordable housing. We are working with the provincial government on programs for affordable housing. It's not easy for a developer, because of the price of wood and lumber and everything else, to build a 30-unit that's going to cost him over $30 million and then to rent it for $550, it cannot be done. So you have to go to nonprofit like Habitat Soleil and what they're trying to do. But that doesn't happen overnight. And they are presently working with the provincial government. So is there a quick fix? No, there isn't, because if there was, we wouldn't be having the problem we have in Fredericton, Moncton, and St. John.
Fredericton was just told that they were going to get a 60-bed shelter.
Yes.
Right.
They're getting a 60-bed shelter, yes.
But even like you're saying about the volunteer center giving them bags of food, the homeless do not get bags of food. If they do not have an address, they do not. They can go there once a day and get their sandwich and leave. They don't even get to go in and warm up and sit down and enjoy their meal. You have to take your food to go.
Yes, but again...
But they don't get a bag of food like you stated. I just
Okay.
wanted to clarify.
Well, I was informed that they can get up to a bag of food that they can leave with the food. But either of that, I understand. But you also have to understand that a lot of them don't want any help. Because if they did, those
even-
6 beds would have been taken last week.
Okay, but even in regards to that, so at the shelter, it's 4 beds for men, 4 beds for women. Okay, if there's 4 men there, these 4 men are already in the shelter, and there's 4 beds for women, but Mr. LeBlanc comes and he wants to go to the shelter. I'm sorry, we're full. He cannot go in. That's how that's run.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to speak for how it's run because they're not here to
Well,
speak on behalf
it's okay.
of them.
Jeremy and Mandy both agreed to that when I met with them last week, that that's how it is run. 4 for this person, 4 for each gender.
So they are trying to find a solution for a better homeless shelter. We've been working on that. We've tried to find a solution. We actually had an opportunity for them to be able to buy a building to have it better situated than what they are now. But these are people that are working on a committee together to try to find solutions for this. But you have to understand that, when this summer we've doubled, and many of them came from other municipalities and not from here. They came here. And last summer, it became a very big problem for the downtown merchants and the other businesses. I have Councillor LeBlanc. All right. That has a question.
Yeah, first of all, Ashley, I understand you're upset. But I truly appreciate what you're all doing. I understand what you're trying to do. I know you've been attacking me this whole time here.
No, I was just, it
Well,
wasn't,
no,
it
you're
wasn't
pointing
attacking.
facts in a way that attacks a person who's been working on this for years.
I apologize that you feel that way, but when we met
No,
outside
that's
after the
okay.
meeting,
That's okay.
those were
Ju-
things that you stated
I'd
to
just
me.
like to bring a few points. Actually, I don't want to argue, and not in the least. I want solutions. This is what I've been fighting for years, is to find solutions. So to sit here and throw stones at each other is not going to help anyone. What I would like, we're talking about the available monies from the federal monies and provincial monies that are available. What I said by that, yes, there are available monies. What we don't have is enough nonprofits applying for them. Right? That's the big problem. What I would love to see is more people going and getting the proper training to work with this problem. We have people who have dedicated their whole lives to this. They know more than me and you will ever know.
Agreed.
And they understand the dangers. And what we are saying here today, it's not, as Madam Mayor just said, we can go and try and fix this overnight. It's impossible. That's why we've been meeting every 2 weeks. And, some people that she did forget was the police department, the fire department. We've got everyone almost that we could think of that could actually help this problem and that work in these problems, including the social development, MB housing, etc. I was speaking with Mandy when it comes to the food. I said, geez, Mandy, because I said exactly what you just said. I found out, she says, no, there's always, if they want food, we will feed them. We've never refused anyone. As for the beds, again, there was, I think, 5 of one sex and 2 of the other available. Nobody went. As for Band for Life, as you had mentioned the other day, doesn't happen. Happened in the past, shouldn't have. Things are correcting now. Some were banned for ridiculous reasons, because sometimes employees think they have the power to do that, certain employees. I mentioned to you some of the problems we had there. That's why it's so important to get the trainings, right? There's nothing I could recommend more, and if you want to help, go, please, get the trainings that are required to understand the problem and the complexities. The lady who was here to speak about harm reduction, sure, she could talk a whole bunch about this if she actually, which I'm assuming she is a professional in this field. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy problem, or else it would have been solved, right? And the other thing, I'd come back again to, please get a nonprofit going. Let's try and do more if we can. we're meeting constantly to try and solve these problems, try to overcome the obstacles. Some are legal, some are not. There's tons. I learn something new every single meeting that I have on this subject. Unfortunately, often it's obstacles that we're meeting, but often we're also finding solutions. As Madam Mayor said, last year we had a big problem. In 3 weeks we had a solution to it. It's not always the case. This year, problem jumped back to us. We've got a solution for December 1st. Is it perfect? No. We did try to find better. Believe me, we worked diligently to find better. That was the best solution. Our other option was to open nothing, which I don't think is much of an option. So I commend the people at the youth center for doing what they're doing to get that warming center in place. But I can specifically say that if everyone here really wants to help and work with us, we are willing to work and do what is needed. But we need to all get the training and get the professional training and understand what we're dealing with, because the lack of information I'm hearing today is incredible, but I will not spend the next, because we could be here for days talking about the lack of information or let's just say not quite accurate information. So that's all I wanted to say, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If anybody's really interested, the youth center will give the training. If you want to volunteer with the youth center, but you have to go through specific trainings. My concern is hopefully nobody gets hurt. As you know, I know what you're doing is from the kindness of your heart. We know we've had a conversation, me and you, last summer. It's from the kindness of your heart. But you have to be careful as well, because not everybody, you need the specific training to be dealing. People, it's mental health. It could be drug addictions. We don't know. Everyone has a different type of, why they're there. They're there for a reason. I mean, it's not new. It's been for years. It's in Bathurst now in the last 3 years. But if you get all the tools needed to at least help you and then be part of their team to volunteer, go see Mandy and Jeremy and be part of the team to go volunteer and help out. But any training is certainly better than just going and wanting to give a help. It's just, I am concerned for some of you, to be honest with you. When I look at the Facebook page, and just be careful. Just be careful, and ideally, if they're willing to want you part of their team to volunteer with them and have the training, by all means, I would say do it.
Do I get to respond back to any of that?
Yes, you can.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I would absolutely love to. Just in regards to the solutions don't come overnight, and I'm sorry, Mr. LeBlanc, if you felt that you were attacked. I was just going off of what you stated to me. I wanted to just make sure that everyone knew that that was not the case, because they're not getting fed 7 days a week until now with the group that I've created, where now we have a team of volunteers that are feeding them and helping out throughout the community. There's been more donations at the food box than there has ever been in the 4 years the box has been there. But in regards to the solution can't happen overnight, absolutely it can. You have the beautiful pavilion over here that could get these people off of the streets at night. We could have 2 security guards, wouldn't cost you very much. Why can't we do that? Why? Because I got told what? We don't want them in our backyard. We can't have them in our backyard. They have to go somewhere. They're already here. You guys have the power to make a change. You can. We're just turning a blind eye. And yes, we're all working. We've been working. We're working. We're meeting every 4 to 6 weeks, what you said last week. Today you're meeting every 2 weeks. I'm thankful we're meeting every however often, but the problem's not going away. Like last year when I met with Ms. Chamberlain, the year before that, like we're always trying to find a solution, but we have to do something. We have more people than ever. They need our help. Mm-hmm. We can't just keep saying, well, it's up to them. It's up to all of us.
I thank you for coming and to speak. Everybody listened. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to commend you on what you're trying to do. I can tell that it is truly a passion for you, and it's out of the kindness of your heart, so I want to commend you for that, first of all. We all know that there's a problem. Nobody likes to see it. I don't like to see people on the street. I don't think anybody does. I guess my question to you is, what exactly do you feel the city should be providing?
For sure. Well,
because there's some things that's out of the realm of what we're able to provide. So I think just to clarify what you feel that the city should be providing to help with this.
Absolutely. Okay, well, really, like even just the pavilion. I don't see why that is an absolute no. Why it gets shut down every year when I come and ask about that, because it is something that could be a solution right now. There's showers, there's bathrooms. People would just sit on the floor, have a couple security guards, problem solved. You know, your residents aren't playing pickleball at 9 o'clock at night, you know, till 7, 6 in the morning, whatever. Something to get them out of the elements. It's something that's really important. We need something. 10 beds, 2 kilometers up the road is not really attainable. It's not. And having Mandy from the youth center saying to me, well, Ashley, if you think these people really need a shower, the solution is that I buy them a pass to the aquatic center. That's not a solution. I'm not going to buy a pass to the aquatic center for all of our homeless. We need a better solution than that. Because they can't go to the shelter and shower or get food if they're not in the shelter.
So that's your request tonight, is to open the pavilion.
Right, and maybe, like, I noticed that the last time, the hospitality days, they asked for $50,000, and that was not going to be a problem. Why can the city not pay to have them being fed 7 days a week? Right, these women over here are putting out their own money. It's costing the church money to letting them, you know, cook the food in there. Their own money is going to that when we have apparently funding for the homeless, but we don't have those services, right? Like the volunteer center. And the volunteer center is going to be closed from December 20th until January, I think, 4th, 2nd. 2 weeks our homeless are going to have nothing to eat that entire time. I think the 3 days is absolutely miserable, but 2 weeks where they're going to have no food whatsoever. Like, we can't do that to our people.
I'm just going to touch on one thing that Mayor Chamberlain did mention as well. Like, you mentioned that you have volunteers helping to go deliver food to the homeless people. Like, I do have a concern as well that somebody's going to end up getting hurt, because I think the training is needed, because you don't know what situations you're stepping into, and you don't know what little thing could happen that could maybe result in somebody getting hurt. So I have a huge concern. As much as I appreciate the volunteers and what they're trying to do, I have a huge concern for people's safety. And
what about the people's safety who's sleeping on the streets?
I worry about that too, but I also worry about the volunteers that are going in there thinking they're doing the best thing for the homeless people, but possibly putting themselves in danger as well.
So do you have a solution for that?
Well, a solution would be aids, like Councillor LeBlanc mentioned, and the mayor as well. Like, people need training, and if the youth center provides that, maybe, you know, go through the youth center to get specific training on how to deal with specific issues that could arise. I just don't want people putting themselves in harm's way.
No. So in regards to the volunteering with the youth center, I spoke with Mandy about that, and it's not dealing with any of the clients. It's helping sorting through the donations that they received, helping to set up for the homeless
So
the warming center. It's not
specific training on
no, not for the volunteers. You're just signing a confidentiality agreement and having a criminal record check.
It's not an easy situation.
No, it isn't.
No.
I'll just add quickly, I understand where you're going, and you're saying that the city's responsibility to feed them. If we're going to go there, we have elderlies living in their homes that have to decide whether they're going to take their medication or pay their rent. You're opening a can of worms. And it is funded by provincial and federal. This is regulated. And I would strongly recommend that you reach out to our local MLA and with the provincial government to deal with them. I mean, we are trying to help as much as we possibly can, but, you know, the funds, the municipality, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to watch our budget and the budget process and what we're going through, is to run the operations of the city. It's not to be feeding homeless or buying medication for an elderly. There are so many situations out there that people need a lot of help. And I understand that your group here tonight and you're doing wonderful work. But go talk to the elderlies and they'll be telling something different. Because they'll say, I worked all my life, I'm in my home, and right now I have to decide whether I'm going to take my medication or I'm going to pay my rent. You know, you look at Audrey and her team, and they worked really hard, and they're over the holidays, and they bring gift bags and food to everybody in their homes. There are a lot of organizations that are having hard times. And I appreciate and I commend the work that you are doing, but to say that this will be fixed overnight, no, it won't be. And I can tell you right now, there's no way that we can have budgets to be feeding. Because if we have to feed the homeless, then we have to feed the elderlies, and we have to feed the people that have 3 children working minimum wage and work 7 days a week and go back home and have to take care of their children, but they work hard, and they still haven't managed to get by. So, anyway.
Okay, and in regards to the pavilion, Jim?
The pavilion gym, I can tell you right now, this is something that will be brought to council at a separate meeting. But personally, absolutely not. There's a warming center that is coming in on December 1st, and it's for the youth center to find a facility and pay for it. That pavilion gym is a sports gym, and it's used. And I was there the night of the emergency with the fire. Mm-hmm. There were no animals in there.
It even specifically, somebody even said, can we bring our animals? And you guys responded back, absolutely.
There were no animals in there.
Okay, but animals were allowed.
If they were, it wasn't from me. Even if they were, yes, the animals would have been in there. But, I mean, you cannot compare apples and oranges right now.
Well, I'm just saying that it is allowed for that, but not for this. That's both an emergency crisis.
Yeah.
Because we're in crisis. Like, people are going to die.
Again, reach to your local MLA.
I have.
Talk to him.
I have.
Yeah, good.
And
All
I keep getting nowhere. He says it's not his problem either.
Well, it's provincially led. Thank you. All right. We will fall under finances, account payable total for October 2024. Ms. Parker.
I'll just wait for... That the accounts payable totals, including payroll for the month of October 2024, be approved as follows. Operating $1,230,302, capital $381,031, for a total of $3,155,082.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Burnett. Before I go to question, Mr. Pettigrew. All right, you got the mic.
Thank you, Worship. The following is a summary of disbursements for both the operating and the capital funds for the month of October 2024. Under the Capital Fund, Lounsbury Company Limited received a payment for 2 half-ton trucks of $122,950. Saunders Equipment Limited received a payment of $69,000 for a sweeper for a skid steer. Hathaway Limited received a payment of $66,195 for a police vehicle. Goliath Structural Services Inc. received a payment of $43,194 for structure repairs at Daly Point. Controls and Equipment Limited received a payment of $25,358 for the HVAC system for Public Works Building. St. Isidore Asphalt received a payment of $54,334 for various aggregates for road work, for a total in the capital of $381,031. In the operating fund, NV Power received a payment of $155,710 for electricity. Irving Energy received a payment for bulk diesel and oil of $46,252. St. Isidore Asphalt received an additional payment for various aggregates for roadwork of $30,659. Four Seasons Sports Limited received a payment of $57,586 for longitudinal line paintings for 2024. Schiller Regional Service Commission received a payment of $47,763 for garbage recycling and sludge tipping fees. Joe Johnson Equipment received a payment of $33,350 for equipment rental. Levitt Safety Supply received a payment of $42,453 for confined space equipment. Green Thumb Landscaping Limited received a payment of $24,185 for flower bed maintenance. Old Post Office Preservation received an additional grant of $40,000. Robichaud and Burrito Contracteur Limité received a payment of $20,240 for refuse collection for Ward 2. Atlantic Purification Systems received a payment of $19,196 for laboratory equipment and supplies. CDW Canada received a payment of $15,920 for licenses and computer equipment. Other recurring payments of $696,988 include various smaller recurring invoices for animal control, repairs, supplies, and promoter settlements, for a total of $1,230,302. Total payroll for 5 pay periods of $1,543,750, for a total in the month of October of $3,155,082. That is my report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Mr. Pettigrew? No? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. We fall under municipal bylaws.
Item 8.1, the receipt of Planning Advisory Committee recommendations for the revision of zoning provisions relating to the residential development and the concept of gentle density. Just give me a second here. C'est à vous, Monsieur Bouffard.
Thank you, Your Worship. So tonight we have a zoning bylaw on the agenda. So the first step is to present to you the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee concerning the proposed bylaw relating to residential development and the concept of gentle density in the city. So the Planning Committee did review the application, this project on September 24th. And the Planning Advisory Committee reviewed the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw in connection with the action plan associated with the Housing Acceleration Funds. So the intent of the proposed change are designed to meet the fund objective of accelerating housing construction by increasing the number of housing units and simplifying the approval process. So basically to reduce and removing some zoning barriers. So the draft bylaw proposed several elements, including diversification of apartment, building type, and increased density. The planning concept based on gentle density enabled an increase in the number of dwelling in low density residential area, known as middle housing. And this is achieved in part through two housing concepts, being accessory dwelling units and small multi-unit dwellings, and ADUs, accessory dwelling units, are gaining in popularity in Canada and North America. So, le projet d'arrêté permettrait également d'accroître la vitesse d'émission des permis de construction, alors que les agents d'aménagement, le personnel du service d'urbanisme, pourraient approuver certaines dérogations sans avoir à passer systématiquement par le comité consultatif en matière d'urbanisme. Les permis, par exemple, les permis temporaires pourraient être allongés à 2 ans plutôt qu'à 1 an, comme c'est le cas actuellement. Donc, le comité d'urbanisme a résolu de faire parvenir un avis favorable au Conseil municipal portant sur les amendements proposés à l'arrêté de zonage en lien avec le plan d'action associé au fonds pour accélérer la construction de logements. Donc, c'est la recommandation du comité d'aller de l'avant avec les modifications proposées. Ça complète.
We'll see. We'll go to 8.2, hearing of objections or support regarding item 8.1 for the proposed municipal plan amendments for the revision of zoning provisions relating to residential development and the concept of gentle density. For the proposed municipal plan amendments for the revision of zoning provisions relating to residential development and the concept of gentle density, public notice required under Section 111 of the Community Planning Act and pertaining to the draft amendment of the municipal and zoning bylaw were published. No written letters were received.
All right, so I'll invite members of the public to express their opinion for the proposed municipal plan amendments for the revision of zoning provision relating to residential development and the concept of gentle density. J'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant les modifications proposées au plan municipal pour la révision des dispositions de zonage relatives à l'aménagement résidentiel et au concept de densité douce. And I'll read for a third time. I invite members of the public to express their opinions for the proposed municipal plan amendments for the revision of zoning provision relating to residential development and the concept of gentle density. No objections.
Perfect. Item 8.3.1, first reading of bylaw 2024-11Z. That the proposed bylaw 2024-11Z entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2008-01 entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw shall be read 3 times by title as per requirements specified in the Local Governance Act, Section 15.3, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw may be examined by contacting the city clerk during regular office hours, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw shall be posted to the City of Bathurst website and Facebook page as per the Local Governance Act, Section 71C, and that the purpose of the above-mentioned proposed bylaw is to modify certain provisions of the zoning bylaw to address some inconsistencies, to grant additional approval authority to the Director of Planning to the extent that the Community Planning Act permits, to implement new development standards based on the concept of gentle density, including accessory dwelling units, to revise certain development standards applicable to residential and commercial zones in order to allow a wider range of residential uses. Be it resolved that proposed bylaw 2024-11Z entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2008-01 entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw be read for the first time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Scarry, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 8.4, hearing of objections or support regarding bylaw to approve the 2025 budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation and to establish a special business improvement area levy in the City of Bathurst. A public notice was published for bylaw number 2024-12 entitled A Bylaw to Approve the 2025 Budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation to establish a special business improvement area levy in the City of Bathurst. No written objections were received.
All right. J'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant la proposition de l'arrêté 2024-12 intitulé Un arrêté pour approuver le budget 2025 de la CRCB et pour établir un prélèvement spécial pour la zone d'amélioration des affaires de la ville de Bathurst. I invite members of the public to express their opinions to the proposed bylaw 2024-12 entitled The Bylaw to Approve the 2025 Budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation to establish a special business improvement area levy in the City of Bathurst. Et pour la 3e fois, j'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant la proposition de l'arrêté 2024-12 intitulé Un arrêté pour approuver le budget 2025 de la CRCB et pour établir un prélèvement spécial pour la zone d'amélioration des affaires de la ville de Bathurst. Aucune objection.
Item 8.5.1, first reading of bylaw 2024-12. That the proposed bylaw 2024-12 entitled A Bylaw to Approve the 2025 Budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation and to establish a special business improvement area levy in the City of Bathurst shall be read 3 times by title as per requirements specified in the Local Governance Act, Section 15.3, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw may be examined by contacting the City Clerk during regular office hours, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw shall be posted to the City of Bathurst website and Facebook page as per the Local Governance Act, Section 71C, and that the purpose of the above-mentioned proposed bylaw is to adopt the special business improvement levy in the City of Bathurst. Be it resolved that the proposed bylaw 2024-12 entitled A Bylaw to Approve the 2025 budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation and to establish a special business improvement area levy in the city of Bathurst be read for the first time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move and second. Moved by Councillor Burnett, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Do we have any questions? I knew you were going to ask a question, Councillor Burnett.
I don't know if it's really a question or a comment. The Downtown Revitalization Group, they have done wonderful things for the citizens of Bathurst and the taxpayers, and I would like Councillor Legacy to take it back to his next board meeting to thank them for the wonderful year that we've had so far, and that supporting them is not very difficult to do. It's something I'm proud that we're going to help them out again, and that they have plans for the future. They have plans to make downtown much better and bigger, and we wish them well. I know we'll have probably financially take part in that, but it's for the good of our city and good of all our taxpayers, and it was a wonderful year, so thank you. Thanks to them.
You're welcome. Yes, they're doing a great job. I attended their AGM last week, including Deputy Mayor Willett, and yeah, they've got great plans moving forward for the future, and it's nice to see, and just with the I Heart Bathurst that we got this past summer, you know, and you know, Catherine's applying for every program, every funding program out there, and I know she can't thank the city enough and the city staff for all the work that they are doing to help out. So no, we're extremely happy. Go to the vote. Oh, okay. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 8.5.2.
Second reading of bylaw 2024-12, that the bylaw 2024-12 entitled a bylaw to approve the 2025 budget of the Downtown Revitalization Corporation and to establish a special business improvement area levy in the city of Bathurst be read for the second time by title.
All right. I'll need someone. Deputy Mayor Willett, seconded by Councillor Branch. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Draft resolution. So we're going to collective agreement. The Bathurst Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF Local 5283. Ms. Parker.
Whereas the collective agreement between the City of Bathurst and the Bathurst Professional Firefighters Association, IAFF Local 5283, expired December 31st, 2023, and whereas both parties reached an agreement on the new collective agreement for the period of January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2027. Now therefore be it resolved that the collective agreement between the City of Bathurst and the Bathurst Professional Firefighter Association effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2027 be accepted, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to sign the necessary contract documents for and on behalf of the city.
All right. I'll need someone to move. Moved by Councillor Honda, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just kind of curious. When I looked through the collective agreement, I noticed there was wording in there about like minimum staffing for swing term contract firefighters. I was just wondering, does that affect the budget? Just it appeared that was new wording from the previous contract, so I just wanted to know what impact it would have on the budget, if any.
Mr. Pettigrew, can I go to you?
Thank you, Worship. The budget discussions included the collective agreement discussions, so that would not affect our budget moving forward.
Okay.
The budgets reflect what they.
I guess to ask another way, does it increase the cost of firefighting? Like, are we adding additional people? Are we incurring additional cost with this wording? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Does Mr. LeBlanc have any information with regards to the contract? But I think it'd be to gather some more information. We'll I guess the terminology of some of the words versus swing versus temp, but it's budget-wise, it's their bodies. It's just a matter of the terminology of how they classified or named them.
Okay. Already, we're not adding bodies.
We go through it. It's not exactly
that. I have too many people, so I'm going to have to. Okay. All right, I think you should be good.
Thank you. That's my understanding as well.
Okay. I guess the other thing I want to point out too, like when this was discussed in camera, like the protective services premium was brought up, and it was mentioned that it was going to be 45 cents an hour and then 70 for the first year and then 75 cents an hour after that. I guess my understanding of that was that it would be 75 cents an hour, but I didn't realize that I was going to be given every year and CPI would be put on top of that, right? So like when I looked at that, it said 75 cents to getting a premium of $1,600 and change a year because they can't strike, which to me seemed fair. But when you look at the compounding effect of that, when you get to the last year of the contract, I mean, that's over $6,000 a year per person just in that protective services premium.
Okay. So, Mr.
So
Pettigrew, or do you want me to go to Mr. Laplante? The thing is the discussion that you're talking is discussion that were done in camera. Now you're discussing things in camera during a public meeting. If you had any questions, you could have approached the staff to discuss this prior to, because you're sharing in-camera information to a public meeting on personnel.
Okay, I thought because it referred to a collective agreement that would be public knowledge. I didn't realize. I thought, we couldn't
Not
discuss
everything
individual.
is public knowledge, no.
So the collective agreements aren't public knowledge.
Mr. Pettigrew?
Thank you, Worship. The collective agreements are available for the public at the end of the day, but to have a discussion on that, I would recommend if there's a discussion on how we get to that point and how it's created and what's discussed, it would be important to have that discussion in an LLL discussion.
Okay, so I have a question too, I guess, about the letter of intent. The letter of intent was not discussed, but again, since it's not public knowledge yet, can I not discuss the
I would recommend
questions
we
I have about the
discussion
letter?
about that in the in-camera discussion.
Okay, then I don't have any additional questions. So I guess, well, I do have one question. So we're voting on this tonight, whether to accept it or not, or will we be revisiting it again?
We're voting on accepting it. This is an agreement that's been done with the
Okay.
staff. This is staffing. It's not
Okay.
council's agreement.
Okay.
Okay. Right? Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. It is certainly great that we're doing this evening. To find labor peace with the firefighters is to be very commendable to both sides, to the firefighters that were involved in this, and to our professional team that were involved with the negotiations. And now council can accept what both sides have come to an agreement on, and look where it goes to, right to 2027. So good news. Good
Very
news
good.
for the taxpayer.
Yeah, very good news. All right, so we'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay, one nay. Motion carried. 9.2 Collective Agreement, QP Local 550, Ms. Parker.
Whereas the collective agreement between the City of Bathurst and QP Local 550 expired December 31st, 2022, and whereas both parties reached an agreement on a new collective agreement for the period of January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2028, now therefore be it resolved that the collective agreement between the City of Bathurst and QP Local 550 effective January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2028 be accepted, and that the Mayor and the City Clerk be authorized to sign the necessary contract documents for and on behalf of the City.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Scary, seconded by Councillor Hondas. Do we have any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Nay? Okay, motion carried. 9.3, appointment to Bathurst Public Library Commission. Ms. Parker.
That Annette Hondas be appointed to the Bathurst Public Library Commission for a first term of office expiring November 2027.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor Knoll, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. They are very lucky to have Annette Hondas. She is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman, and the library is very lucky to have her part of the commission. 9.4, appointment of Animal Control Office. Ms. Parker.
Whereas, pursuant to the bylaw number 2012-04, a bylaw regulating the keeping and controlling of companion animals in the City of Bathurst, Council is authorized to appoint an animal control officer, and that Tara Steeves is authorized, designated, and appointed to act for and on behalf of Council in order to properly enforce the bylaw number 2012-04, and that the said appointment continues as long as the said person remains employed with the Animal Shelter Bathurst Incorporated, or that the appointment is limited or rescinded by council. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bathurst City Council hereby appoints Tara Steves as Animal Control Officer.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Branch. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 9.51, items discussed in camera. Sale of a portion of land at 730 Mount Carmel Street. Ms. Parker.
That council declare the portion of land located at 730 Mount Carmel Street, known as Burgalia Park, as surplus and approve the sale of this portion identified by property identification number 205-19237 to North Shore Welding Supply Limited for $458 plus tax. The purchaser will be responsible for all legal subdivision and registration fees as discussed in camera on November 4, 2024 under Section 68 of the Local Governance Act, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign all related documents on behalf of the city.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone, Councillor Knowles, seconded by Councillor Hondas. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, items for information. Reports from administration. Good. We have an infrastructure plan by Mr. Matthew Abernathy. Oh, I'll get you the mic, Mr. Abernathy. There you go.
Thank you. All right. My bearings here on this new setup. All right, perfect. All right, thank you for having me this evening. I'm here to present our 2025 to 2035 infrastructure plan. And so the objectives of the plan are really to, sorry, I think I skipped a slide, no? All right. To provide and present the city's infrastructure needs, provide a long-term outlook to help council shape their fiscal policy, and provide a roadmap for staff based on the strategic plan. So obviously, after council has a look at sort of where we're going, if they're looking to modify the strategic plan, it helps us to have kind of a bank of projects in the holster to direct staff to head in different directions. So just a quick need to know before we head into it. This is a very preliminary plan which will develop over the next 2 years. So a complete plan projected to be in place for setting budget year 2027. And the reason for that is because our asset management plan is very much in its infancy. We've got a good chunk of the utility portion of it done. However, the road network and facilities requires quite a bit of labor, so we're going to be tackling that hopefully this year, and hopefully looking to have a good chunk of that in place for budget 2026 is what we're hoping to have in place. And so also the main focus of this plan is the roads and utilities infrastructure, and only the main facilities are looked at. So many secondary facilities such as pumping stations, lift stations, tourism buildings will also need to be incorporated in the plan in the further iterations. So any numbers you see here tonight are very much only related to roads, water and sewer piping, and main facilities. So our larger facilities like our water treatment plant, our wastewater treatment plant, public works, KCI, things like that. So something to keep in mind, the numbers that you see here tonight are most likely going to grow in the long term. So we'll get right into it. Basically in point form here, I have the different sections. I believe you all have a copy of the plan in your packages. So we'll just quickly go through the sections. Just a quick introduction, laying out the reasoning for the plan, and then moving right into the plan objectives. We went through various other municipalities' plans and kind of assembled a good basic understanding of what these plans are for, since this is our very first infrastructure plan. Obviously something we probably should have done a long time ago, but there's no time like the present to get this in place. So in going through other municipalities' plans, we did have a list of objectives, and basically they are to assess the current assets, planning for future growth and needs, prioritization of projects, budgeting and financial planning, sustainability and environmental considerations, risk management, resilience, compliance with regulations, long-term maintenance strategies, and economic development. So the next section on the plan, we're looking at population trends for the city of Bathurst. So we gathered what our population outlook has been since the 1950s to the present. Obviously, in the late 1990s and early 2000s, there was a decline in population. But in the later stages, there is good news. Things seem to have stabilized, if not had a small uptick through the last number of years. So things are looking good on that front as far as stabilization. And then a small section on the results of population shifts. Things like reduced tax revenue, underutilized infrastructure, deferred maintenance and deterioration, increased per capita costs. So obviously things that come with reduced populations, reduced funding, and obviously increased per capita costs. Since the infrastructure remains in place, we can't really decommission any of that. It needs to stay in place, and so is less taxpayers funding that infrastructure. So the following section is our capital investment strategy. So in that section, we do include a table which has our capital funding investment plan over the next until 2040. There's our reduction of our debt profile there, and also the reinvestment of that money into capital investments in order to increase our funding up to $3 million by 2040. Then we go into a quick description of our current facilities assets. So we have them all listed there with a quick description, value, and then also proposed projects over the coming years, along with a table which describes what those projects are. And I have these tables coming up here in a second. And then a quick section on our utility and road networks, and just a section of note there. There is a table including our current deficits on our utility, water, and sewers assets. And so our current deficit on the water and sewer side is about $9.5 million. So that's items that have expired already in 2023. So that's previously expired and currently expired in 2023. Our current investment in utility assets at the moment is somewhere around $2 million is kind of our average per year if you include all of our gas tax funding and all of these extra funding that we do get. And the unfortunate reality is that if at a sustained investment of $2 million a year in our utility assets, that deficit of $9.5 million will grow to $65 million in the next 10 years. And that's only in water and sewer assets. So I think it's very important for us to get that asset management plan in place for the rest of our assets, so we do have a good understanding of where we're going to be in those final stages of the plan in 2035. And unfortunately, I feel like we're probably going to be a fairly significant number higher than that. Bathurst did experience pretty significant growth in the late 60s and early 70s when the Parkwood Heights areas was developed, and that's a big reason for a lot of that infrastructure expiring in early 2030s. I think it's 2033, 2034. We're looking at all of that infrastructure becoming 60 years plus, and then so expiring. We're looking at north of $20 million a year expiring at that point. So obviously something we're not going to be able to keep up with, so we need to keep in mind as we work our way towards our investment over the years. So the next section is our asset management strategy. So we have a quick layout of what we plan to do in the asset management side. Like I said, we're looking to get that mostly complete in 2025, hopefully to be used to set budget 2026. And then once that is complete, we're going to be looking at revising this plan with that and having that ready in end of 2026 for budget setting of 2027 is our plan. So a quick conclusion there, which we'll talk about later, and then our appendices, which include the general budget investments, the utility budget investments, and then a complete list of city facilities just for interest. So if we look at the 10-year general capital projects list, it's extremely hard for me to read that on here, but it's essentially road projects, including our provincially designated highways. So the majority of our road construction we're looking at is provincially designated highways, since those dollars are are 22-cent dollars, essentially. We pay 22% of those projects, and the provincial government funds the rest of those. I've included a line across the top of $400,000 a year in local road paving, so that's non-funded paving projects that the city would be looking to do, and that's what we did have budgeted in the capital budget for this upcoming year. And so I've included that in there at a growth rate of 2%, just to add something in there so that we're not falling behind as far as our road paving projects go. And then you'll also notice in that list various facility projects such as public works replacement, fire hall renewal. These are major projects which are going to require significant consultation, obviously, with council and various stakeholders. So they're there in a sense to show that what the impact that those major projects are going to have on our investment plan, and to give you a better idea of what your yearly spending is going to have to look like if we are looking to include those projects in there. It's not necessarily to say that this is exactly what we're going to do and you guys are going to have to find a way to fund that. That's not the case here. It's really to give you an idea of if this is the type of project load we want to do. The bottom line is really what we're going to be looking to allocate to these projects on a yearly basis. So skipping ahead to the utility capital project side. So again, you'll notice a lot of the provincially designated highways here. Whenever we're doing those rebuilds on the roadside, we're also rebuilding our utilities, which are underneath. Those portions the project does not, the provincial government does not cover, so that's something that we need to cover on our side. We've allocated, if you'll see on the second to last line there, the CCBF funding, which is the former gas tax funding. So that is included here already. So on the very bottom line there, you'll see the yearly required spending. That's removing the gas tax and everything else, which is included already. We've also made an assumption that any larger projects for facilities such as the water treatment plant upgrades and the wastewater treatment plant relocation, which is a major one there of $30 million, you'll notice, again, obviously it's not something we're planning on doing that year. It's just something that may be added to the project load, and it's important to see that this is what the numbers look like with that in there, right? But any project of that magnitude, obviously there's going to be provincial funding involved. So we've added a line of 60% funded on any of those. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. That's what we've been usually getting for those types of projects. So across the bottom there, you'll see the yearly requirement for infrastructure funding. That line was there on the last slide as well. That'll come back in a small summary in a couple of slides here. But just to give you an idea of our past infrastructure spending, over the last 3 years, we looked at an average on the general side of about $650,000, and on the utility side of about $560,000. Now, keep in mind, this is very much only infrastructure funding, so it's only pipes in the ground, roads, and major facilities. I haven't included any equipment spending or vehicle spending or anything like that. So there's no protective services in here. There's none of that. This is what we've spent only on roads and piping and major facilities. So 650 and 560 respectively. So if you take the two bottom lines of those two charts that I had given you earlier, those are the required spending for each year. And again, I apologize, it's a little small here. But the average yearly spending for the general side is, I believe, $2.5 million. And the average spending on the utility side is about $1.3 million. So that's more in line with what we would need to be spending out of our utility and general capital budgets beyond any funding received. So this would be our portion that needs to be allocated in our utility budgets in order to complete this project load, essentially. So again, keep in mind there's major projects in here. There's a $30 million relocation of the wastewater treatment plant. There's a $10 million relocation of the public works building, things like that. Major deals, so may or may not happen. So it's something to keep in mind. But if this is the type of project load that we want to be looking at, that's the type of funding that needs to happen. So again, on the general side, our average over the last 3 years, $650,000. An average for this plan, $2.5 million. And on the utility side, $560,000, and the average in this plan, $1.3 million. So obviously significantly higher than we've been allocating in the past. A couple of assumptions here. The figures assume large projects are provincially funded at 40% on the general side and 60% on the utility side. And then figures include a current estimated CCBF amount, include current and estimated CCBF amounts at 2% annual growth on the CCBF. It's impossible for us to know what it's going to be, but I think 2% is probably a fairly safe assumption there. And again, only major facility projects are included. So asset management will certainly increase these figures as those smaller facilities are added to the plan. So in conclusion, staff will certainly need to work to create a plan to increase capital spending with your direction, of course. And the asset management plan will be vital to giving council the information they need to direct the city's investments and in infrastructure moving forward. And like I said, we're hoping to get that in place for budget year 2026. Certainly there will be some interesting conversations for that. Staff will update the plan yearly, and major changes will be included once our asset management plan is usable. And I do plan on revisiting you every 6 months, so on a semi-annual basis, to update the plan as more information becomes available. As a note there, we do have a very good start on our road network plan as well. We have all the data collected for that. It just needs to be assembled, and then financial data put together with that. So we do have our utility, water and sewer, and our roads fairly complete. The facilities are really the big chunk of that asset management plan that need to come together to really complete that plan and allow to give you guys a total picture of what needs to be invested in the future. So that's it for today. Obviously, any comments, recommendations, or whatnot, I can come back. We do need to come back to another meeting for you to accept this. So I'm certainly willing to entertain any comments or.
We're lit up across the board. Get ready. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I personally feel, and I've told you this, that your department is grossly underfunded, and we're going to get ourselves into trouble down the road if we don't act sooner or later to provide you with the budget that you need to operate to the capacity that we need. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation tomorrow night when we discuss the capital budget going forward, because I will be pushing to have more money put into your budget. That's all I have.
I agree. Conseiller Leblanc.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Merci, Mathieu. Une belle présentation. J'ai hâte de, comme drôle à dire, mais j'ai hâte en 2027 que ce soit terminé, qu'on peut voir le projet au complet. T'as bien pas aussi hâte de voir les coûts associés, mais en tout cas, l'étape à la fois. Une question, moi, la question que je me fais le plus poser, je te dirais, par nos citoyens et les gens de ma région où je vis, c'est toujours la même, puis elle est difficile à répondre, puis j'aimerais. Tu sais, je regarde tout ce que tu as d'investi dans les utilities, puis qu'est-ce qu'on a investi à date, puis qu'est-ce qui s'en vient. Mais on va revenir sur l'eau. C'est toujours ça la question. Cette année, tu sais, depuis que je suis sur le Conseil, on a investi énormément dans les utilities, dans l'eau. Et puis cette année, pour faire exprès, on dirait que c'était une des pires années pour avoir de l'eau colorée. Tout récemment, j'ai perdu une batch de linge moi-même. J'étais obligé de jeter aux poubelles à cause que ça a été taché. Mais ma question est, est-ce que c'est... dis-moi donc si c'est faisable de rétablir ça, peut-être pas à 100%, je ne le sais pas, tu vas me le dire. Et combien d'investissements encore ça va prendre de la part de la ville pour arriver à un niveau, mettons, endurable pour être gentil, mettons?
Cette année, c'était certainement une difficile année. Là. On a fait des investissements dans le St. Anne Booster Station. On a fait un changement avec le flat rate pour le utility building, qui a changé les affaires un petit peu. Ça a vraiment augmenté la demande du système, qui est une mauvaise chose et une bonne chose. On a vraiment eu la chance de circuler l'eau un petit peu plus. Mais notre système, elle opère totalement différent à cette heure avec le St. Anne Booster Station. C'est vraiment un learning curve un petit peu pour les opérateurs, pour les employés du utility department, puis aussi même les pompiers qui utilisent des bonnes fontaines. Il y a des différentes pressions partout dans la ville qui aident pas la situation. Mais on travaille toujours sur un système qui a vraiment été pas trop bien maintenu pendant une cinquantaine d'années. Avec des budgets qui ont été coupés tout le temps, c'est très difficile à maintenir notre système. Mais là, à cette heure, avec notre système de UDF qui est en place, Ça aussi, il y a beaucoup de disturbance qui arrivent avec les projets de UDF. Puis on remercie notre groupe de communication pour avoir donné l'information au plus possible. Puis le système Voyant Alert aussi a aidé les choses beaucoup. Là. Mais en regardant ça, nous autres, on prévoit qu'avec le UDF, avec le système sur la Sainte-Anne, on a une situation avec notre West Booster à ça qu'il faut qu'on travaille dessus pour faire sûr qu'on est capable d'envoyer l'eau au West Booster, de sortir l'eau de West Booster. Mais la réalité, c'est qu'on a des conduits d'eau qui ont été installés à 10 pouces qui sont maintenant à 4 pouces. So, il y a des restrictions dans le système qui n'aident pas ça. So, il faut trouver ça. Et il faut mettre en place les investissements pour les arranger. Là. So, c'est pas quelque chose qui va être arrangé dans 1 an, 2 ans. On parle d'un système de 50 ans de vieux qui a vraiment pas eu l'investissement qu'elle a eu besoin pendant les années. Puis ça va prendre plusieurs années pour revenir à ce qu'on veut être. Quand le système marche bien, puis il n'y a pas de feu, puis il n'y a pas de monde qui ouvre des bonnes fontaines, tout est beau. Mais le système est très susceptible à des changements de pression. Puis c'est ça qu'on essaie de zeroer dessus tout de suite là, pour être capable de l'opérer d'une parfaite manière pour ne pas avoir les disturbances. Là. Ouais.
Penses-tu au moins que ça va aller en améliorant?
Certainement, oui, certainement. Ouais. C'est un mix de training des opérateurs, un mix de, puis pas les plans de traitement, mais nos opérateurs dans le système aussi pour qu'ils opèrent le flushing puis les bonnes fontaines. Une combinaison de ça et de UDF continu. On a vraiment été capable de faire UDF dans la région de Riverside Drive. Parkwood Heights, on l'a fait quand on n'avait pas de pression dans Parkwood Heights. So là, il faut refaire Parkwood Heights. À cause là, on a de la pression. On peut faire un bon UDF dans la région, puis ça va donner un meilleur résultat. Là. So, il faut refaire Parkwood Heights. On est rendu à South Bathurst. Il y a encore East Bathurst à faire. On parle d'un autre 2-3 ans avant qu'on ait le système complet fini au complet. Mais avec, on a eu beaucoup de bris d'eau cette année. On a un tel montant d'employés qui travaillent là-dessus. So, quand il y a des bris d'eau, il faut arrêter UDF. So, il faut jongler les gars un petit peu là, pour les mettre là-dessus. So, on fait mieux qu'on peut avec ce qu'on a. On prévoit en dedans d'un an ou 2, peut-être 3, dépendamment comment ça va, on devrait avoir une très bonne amélioration dans la qualité d'eau. Ouais.
Merci beaucoup, Mathieu. Puis tu as juste renforcé le point, conseillère Anderson, qu'il faut investir plus dans votre département. Merci.
All right. Juste pour que les gens sachent, c'est quoi UDF?
C'est Unidirectional Flushing. So, I'll say it in English if that's okay.
Yeah.
Use
Yep,
some technical
go ahead,
terms. So, unidirectional flushing is essentially a plan where you flush the water in one direction down the pipe. So you need to manipulate the valves in a certain way, which sends the water down the system in a controlled manner, so that it makes its way from hydrant to hydrant to hydrant in a controlled manner, and you don't flush dirty water back into the areas where you first flushed. So it's a very common practice. It should have been done here for the last 50 years. Unfortunately, it stopped in 2007, I believe, was the last year we did it. And we'd only done it a couple of years before that. It's really standard practice across the board for municipalities, so it's something that we're going to implement every year from here on out.
Okay, so we're going back to doing it, and I just
Yep.
because I had learned that saying it as well. So in the summertime or whenever we see a fire hydrant that's running, we ask people not to go shut it, because that's what you're doing. You're doing unidirectional flushing, right?
When you see a hydrant that's flushing by itself,
Yeah.
that's not unidirectional flushing. That's flushing in order to raise the chlorine residual. So
Okay.
if you remember, we had our discussions during the flat rate discussion, and we talked about not enough water being used. That's a perfect example of not enough water being used, and we need to get that old water out of the system. So whenever you see a hydrant flushing by itself, it's usually just flushing kind of at a lower rate, not at a higher rate, because if it's at a high rate, then it's going to disturb the system. So if it's flushing by itself, that's most likely what's happening. So that's what will happen at the extremities of the system in the majority of the time. So up at the end of Vanier, out in the Bayshore area, Karen Point area, sometimes in the Yaw Hall area, that's done as well.
Okay, so we're still lit up. So, Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks for your presentation. I have a couple of questions and points. Number one, we now have an MLA who's the Deputy Premier and Minister of Finance, and he's from Bathurst. And we were told last year when we went to the Francophone and Municipalities Associations that the provincial government would only do the top of the road work and not underneath. And you just said tonight that we have to do the underneath. And then Madam Mayor went after the previous government and was told no road work for 2 years, you know. So are we going to take this plan and go to our MLA and ask to go to the province, to the people that make those decisions about no road work from the province for 2 years or 3 years, and see if we can get them involved and saying, come on, get real. If we don't do that work, we fall behind and behind and behind. And that's like Councillor Anderson said, then how much money does it take to move ahead? So I would strongly recommend that we meet with different level of government there and present this and say, let's get off of the pot here and help this community out rather than sit for 2 years with no work, you know, like we have put up with.
We actually hopefully have a meeting before the holidays, myself and Mr. Pettigrew, with UMNB, and we will have other municipalities there with MLAs, and that's actually one of the biggest files that we want to discuss. So it's in our intention. So
The other question or comment is the waste treatment plant. It's like 55 years old right now, and you've got that way down the list of replacement for what, $30 million? You know, maybe we should be looking at moving that up the list a little bit and then contacting our member of parliament, Serge Cormier, and get him in because of the environmental concerns there. How much longer can we run that plant and environmentally do what's right? And that was one of the first plants like that in the province, and we were the showcase, but that's 55 years ago. So I think we got to meet with Serge Cormier on a more regular basis and say, okay, this is a real environmental concern, and we've got to get at it, you know, and with our MLA as well. You know. And my last question is road work, yes, but sidewalks, yes. I would like to see some sidewalk work done, and I would hope that in our long-term plans that we look to replace some of our sidewalks that are just all over the place and go to concrete. My opinions. Thank you.
all right. Deputy Mayor Willett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so we got still a lot of iron pipe in the ground, which is getting restricted all the time. If I'm not mistaken, I was going through the document. We pretty well would need about $8 million right now to be able to do some of this stuff.
So that is a cost that's associated with a meter of pipe, right? And so replacing a meter of pipe doesn't cost what a meter of pipe costs, right? Because you have to do excavation, you have to do the road, you have to basically rebuild a lot more than just what that cost of meter of pipe is. So the deficit is directly related to a meter of pipe with a certain replacement cost. In order for us, right now we have a deficit of 9.5 million, like you said. Yeah.
And that's just for the pipe.
That's just for the pipe, yeah.
That's not for the work that needs to get done to get there.
Typically, you would redo significantly more than just the pipe when you do that. Yeah, we strategically put those projects all together.
So we're not reducing our infrastructure deficit.
No.
We're not doing none of that, so.
No, like I said, we're going from 9.5 to 65 million here at the current rate of investment in the next 10 years.
So I know the finance department's not gonna like me very much, but we need to spend a lot more money on this. So, you know, if we need to borrow to get ahead of the game or whatever, but we need to do something with this. We can't just keep on cutting and because people are not satisfied with what went on with the water this year, that's for sure. You know, and you know, I know I work, myself and Councillor Knowles are on that committee, and we see jobs that are canceled, not completely done year after year because we're running out of money or what the budget is allowing. So we definitely need to increase that budget to be able to do a lot more stuff and get rid of this piping and whatever. So we can't just be looking at provincially run highways and hope that it doesn't help the subdivisions, it doesn't help the other stuff too. So we need to get that done because we got subdivisions that are up to the point where you almost need a four-wheel drive to get through them. So that's it for me.
All right. Well, Thank you, Mr. Abernathy.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work, you and your team. And, well, at least we know what's really happening, so. Okay. You're welcome. Do we have any committee reports, Ms. Parker?
There are no committee reports.
All right. No mayor report this evening, so we'll go to the adjournment of the meeting. Ms. Parker?
That the regular public meeting be adjourned at 7:59 p.m.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Hondas, seconded by Councillor Branch. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us on Facebook Live. Bonsoir à tous. Merci.